to Books with Bridgetti, where we bring you the voices shaping the world of literature today. If you are wondering how motherhood and entrepreneurship can fuel each other, you're in the right place today. I'm joined by two powerhouse CEOs, Cori Wamsley and Marta Sauret Greca. They're here to share stories of strength, transformation, and purpose through the anthology Powerful Synergy. And the two of them will guide us through their journey of balancing business and family while crafting a legacy that matters. Stay with us, authors like you've never heard them before, only on Books with Bridgetti. We'll be right back.
Introducing Books with Bridgetti, a lineup of industry experts, award-winning authors and talented indie authors. Buckle up for an unparalleled journey with us. Meet exceptional authors celebrated globally for their captivating narratives. Our authors craft imaginative stories that stay etched in your mind long after the final page. It's not just stories, it's lingering experiences that stay etched in your mind. Our authors share the inspirations that create mesmerizing page-turning stories. Journeys that embody resilience, that turn setbacks into stepping stones, rejections that spark growth, and hurdles that become a catalyst for creativity. From dramas, mysteries, fantasies, children's stories to reality stories, join us as we delve into the inspiration behind the story, discover how authors breathe life into characters, and meticulously craft plots that keep you turning the page. But wait, there's more. We share stories from indie authors as well as Amazon and New York Times best-selling authors. Get ready for an interview that'll have you on the edge of your seat. Stay tuned. Join us only on Books with Bridgetti.
If you've just joined us, then a hearty big warm welcome to Books with Bridgetti. Our live stream is made possible by StreamYard and Be Live Media. In today's show, we're going to be talking to Cori Wamsley and Marta Sauret Greca, authors like you've never heard them before, only on Books with Bridgetti. Now, if you've never met our two amazing authors before, a little bit about them. Cori Wamsley is the CEO of Aurora Corialis Publishing. She helps leaders quickly and easily write and publish books that position them as experts in their field. With 20 years experience as a professional writer and editor, Cori is an award-winning author with 10 books, including the Soul Sisterhood series. She's very, very passionate about helping others create a legacy through storytelling. Marta Sauret Greca is the CEO of Media, the creative agency, a marketing firm that helps holistic wellness and beauty experts make millions while transforming their lives. She's also a mom of 7 and an advocate for financial peace, helping families plan for their future. She was named Woman Business Leader of the Year. Marta is the author of the #1 bestseller, The Minimalist Method, the emerging entrepreneur's guide to peace and prosperity, and she's been featured in national media outlets. Well, what can I say? I'm going to ask these two amazing ladies to come and join me on stage, and so let's give them a very, very warm welcome, shall we? Ladies, welcome. I am so happy and so delighted to have you on Books with Bridgetti, and so looking forward to our conversation because I think that your stories are incredibly inspirational. And if I may, I think, Cori, I'm going to start with you. And my first question to you would be, as the CEO of Aurora Corialis Publishing, you've helped many leaders share their transformational stories, and this book is just one amazing example. What is the most surprising transformation you've seen through storytelling so far?
Well, I think one of the really interesting aspects of storytelling is that a lot of times people will kind of take notes along the way, as they're going through these journeys.
Cori, we're having a little bit of difficulty hearing you. So I think let's just switch to Marta for a while, and then if you could just see if you could get that figured out, and we'll come back to you.
Hi.
Marta, I think let's just give Cori a moment. Now, your chapter in Maverick Moments, you share how you've embraced being a maverick, both in motherhood and in business. Can you tell us just one of those moments you think that truly defined your path?
It was definitely when I had only 5 kids. Now I have 7. And we found ourselves living in my parents' basement, essentially, because we were close to bankruptcy on the house that we were renovating. And my parents were kind enough to let us stay with them indefinitely. And my mom was diagnosed with cancer at the time. And I was doing everything I could to have my business be successful. And it just wasn't sustainable anymore, the way that I was running, just all over the place at all hours of the day, giving away freebies.
Marta, sorry to interrupt you. I think we are having tech gremlins today because your internet is lagging and I'm having a really hard time following the conversation. But I see Cori's joined us. It seems like we're playing a bit of musical chairs here. So let's see if Cori's been able to get her connection going better. And then we'll switch to her for a moment. And if you could just have a look at your internet connection. Cori, great to have you back.
Good to be back.
I tell you what, there's nothing like technology to give us a run for our money, and that's just the nature of the beast when we go live. One of those things. So I'm going to just go back again. You share or help leaders share transformational stories. So far in your journey, what was the most surprising transformation that you've seen one can achieve through storytelling?
Well, I think what's really interesting is that a lot of times as people are going through these journeys, they realize that they need to be sharing them later on. So they'll take notes along the way, they'll jot down stuff. Some people are writing a journal or a diary, so they would have that. And what I've found is that, if something happened like 10 years ago, somebody's writing that down and then they get to the point now where they're like, okay, I'm ready. I feel comfortable sharing this story. I've healed enough. I really need to help other people. And because they've gone through that transformation and they've had to heal through their journey and everything, now they're at a point where they don't even sound like the same person. So they'll go back and read through their notes thinking like, oh, I could just copy down some of this. I've got half of my book done. And because of that transformation, it doesn't sound like you anymore. And it's because at the point when you were going through that change, a lot of people are, when they're going through that change, they're kind of in the middle of the muck, So when they get to the other side of it, it makes it a very interesting piece to go back and read it and be like, oh my goodness, look at how judgmental I was, or look at all these things that I thought mattered that really didn't matter. So that tends to be one of the biggest storytelling transformations, is that they've gone through all of that and then they come back and say, that's not me. So that's one of the things I like to help people with, is like, okay, well, who are you today? You have to come at it from a mentor mindset instead of, somebody who's going through all the gunk at that time. I think you're muted. Bridgetti, you're muted.
It seems like we're still having some tech issues going on. You, you appear to be frozen on screen to me, Cori, and I'm not hearing you very well. So let me just see if Marta is able to join us. And I want to just our audience, thanks very much for being so supportive, and thank you for your patience while we try and sort out the tech gremlins. Unfortunately, they do seem to happen every now and then. Doesn't happen very often, but let's just see. Cori, just let's do a sound check. Are you able to hear me all right?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, there seems to be a terrible lag. And Marta, how is the sound for you?
I can hear you, but as soon as you put me on camera, there's a lag. I seem to have really good internet service, though, so I'm not sure what the issue is.
Oh my goodness, we are really having a royal time with the internet this evening. This doesn't happen very often, but oh my goodness. So can Cori, are you able to hear me now? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay. And Marta, how's that for you at the moment?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Well, let's see if we can just go with the flow. It is what it is. Technology challenges us. Cori, so Powerful Synergy, the book, is about how motherhood and entrepreneurship strengthen each other. Do you think you could share a moment when these two roles merged for you in a way that either surprised or inspired you?
Yeah. For me, I had I lost my job when I had a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old at home. It happened on my 1-year-old's first birthday, which is, happy birthday. I thought we were going to do cupcakes, but instead we're job hunting. And one of my friends suggested that I start my own business. And I'm looking at her like she's nuts. And turns out she was, but it was a good kind of nuts, because you kind of have to be a little bit out there to be able to start your own business. And as I started putting things into place, I realized what I was doing was allowing me more flexibility to be able to do whatever it is that I needed to, because like my husband works in sports, so his schedule is not consistent. He'll work evenings, he'll work weekends. Sometimes he'll, have a day game, and I'm like, okay, well, good thing I'm here and I can just be flexible, because we don't even know sometimes week to week what's going on. So that has been something major for me, like realizing, hey, I can stop everything. I can say, hey, you know what? Let's shift this call half an hour ahead because my kid just dumped food all over herself at school and I have to run a new outfit over to her. Or, you know what? This is what my schedule's going to be today. Or being like, this is what my schedule is going to be today because I know I'm picking up my kids after school. I know that we have an appointment. That has been a major aha moment for me, was coming into that kind of flexibility and going, okay, this is what I wanted to begin with. This is something that I didn't even know was available to me, because I was a writer for the government before I started this. So I had no idea that people even had like writing businesses where they, helped authors or they edited books or any of that kind of stuff. So coming into that and going, okay, this is what the possibilities are for what I do. Had I not had children, I probably would have continued like pursuing the whole standard 9 to 5. But knowing that I had that flexibility, that really drove me to keep going forward.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. Now, what led you to, I think you've answered it a little bit, but what led you to create Powerful Synergy, and what was your vision for how these stories could impact readers, especially other women in leadership roles?
Yeah. Well, when I talked to Marta initially, I said, I think it would be awesome if the two of us partnered together and created a book. And I know we know so many women who want to share their stories. And she was actually the one who suggested, why don't we tell stories about Motherhood, Strengthening Entrepreneurship. I mean, she's an Olympic mom, so knowing what she knows, like, that would be a perfect topic, because she has been able to maneuver around and, nurture her children and nurture her business at the same time. And the more we talked about this, the more we thought it would be just brilliant to be able to pull women together from all different ages of momhood, because you have, new moms who have little ones and they're struggling in a different way from moms whose kids have left the nest. And they're all kind of navigating that space where they want to be the best mom that they can be, and also be amazing business owners. And we knew that those kind of stories would empower others.
Wow. Well, I think the two of you are just an absolute perfect match in this book. Now, there are lots of stories in Powerful Synergy that touch on the idea of overcoming challenging and difficult situations. Was there a personal story in the book that particularly resonated with your own journey?
I think that there's something from each of the stories that I could pull out. It's been several weeks since I've read the book, so calling out specific moments is kind of hard. But going through each
give
of
it
the
a go if you'd like.
yeah.
I will admit it. With the timeline of the book, the baby that my seventh baby was born a month early, so I completely changed what I wrote. And then there was all the the drafts were due, and Cori's team was doing an amazing job handling everything. That I just finally got a chance to read everybody's chapters. I knew their story or read the excerpts, so they're fresh in my mind. But I can think of Ashley Finna and her moment that she describes in the book of her family had gone through such a struggle of conceiving and then finally getting pregnant, and they couldn't believe it, and they're overjoyed, and comes the moment to give birth, and they're not handing her baby. What's going on? They're not handing her baby. And that was something that I experienced as well, so that really touched my heart. Or with Sam Bauer and her chapter, she describes knowing in your gut that something's not right, that like you need to move on with your life, do something different, shift, pivot, and you just like keep waiting for that sign for God, and you're like, are you there, God? I'm here. I'm asking for that sign. Where's that sign, God? Hello, I'm waiting. And you're kind of like waiting for the right moment, the right sign. And all along, perhaps this is what she means, is like you have that gut feeling, and that gut feeling is the sign, because it's on your heart as well. So I thought those were just amazing moments, and I'm still getting through all the chapters, but I love all the women in the book. They're just incredible. And I know that the people who have read the book have said, are these really true stories? This is amazing, crazy in a good way, like Cori said.
Wow, that is just amazing. Thank you for sharing those, details with us. And guys, I mean, there's just so much to look forward to in this book. Now, Cori, when you're working with authors and amazing authors like Marta, what's the most important piece of advice that you would give to the authors about embracing vulnerability?
Yeah, that one is tough. I think that we have to be very cognizant of what we feel comfortable with. Because there's always that push like, oh, you should tell your story. Oh, that's so amazing. But ultimately, if we don't feel comfortable, we need to figure out why. And it's either, it's not quite time to share that story. Maybe you don't feel like you're all the way through your journey. Or sometimes there are pieces that just don't need to be shared. And I think an important question for us to ask ourselves is what would I have wanted to hear when I was going through that journey? What book did I need to read? And that's the book that you have to be writing, is the book that you needed to read going through that journey. So we do have to kind of call back to whatever we were going through and figure that out. The vulnerability piece is so multifaceted, because once you get through that and you're like, okay, I feel comfortable, I know I've healed from it, I'm ready to share it. There are even times when you get clear to the end of that and you're like, okay, I know this is a good story, and I'll have an author email me and be like, I'm so scared. I don't want people to read this. I'm like, well, I'm about to hit the button. So you really need to step back and say, who am I helping with this book? Focus on that sort of thing, because if you feel really uncomfortable having that attention on yourself, then you need to shift it and say, okay, who am I helping? What are they going to get out of this? And that's going to be my focus. And even sometimes when you're, writing your social media copy and your emails and all that kind of stuff and letting people know about it, you can focus on that. This is what I wanted to get out. This is the kind of person I wanted to help, instead of saying, here's my story, because it really feels like you're just flinging open your closet doors and letting everybody see what's going on in there. And that's not always comfortable. So shifting it to the person you're helping, and making sure that you feel comfortable getting that story out. Those are really imperative.
Wow, that is a great way of phrasing it. And I do like that you did mention that you don't want to push people into a corner, as it were. If they're not ready to share their story, they're not ready.
Right.
But also to shift the perspective about, why you're sharing. I really like that as well. Now, you've been a professional writer and editor for 20 years. What did you learn from the women in Powerful Synergy that you haven't encountered in your career or your previous books? What was different?
I will say I really loved working with this group. They were so passionate about sharing their stories. They showed up, they listened when I was doing the coaching. If I had feedback for them, they wanted to talk through it. Like, I could tell that these stories were really important to them. And I don't want to say that, all the other people I've worked with, the stories weren't important, but I could really tell, like, this is something that was on their hearts to share. And that always comes across in a story. I think that, if you're thinking about sharing your story, that's something you really have to step back and be like, is this something that I'm really going to stand behind? Because when you're writing out that story, like, those are your words out there for everybody. And this group of women, they hit it out of the park. It was beautiful.
Wow, that's wonderful. Now, one of the messages in the book is about celebrating our power, both as mothers and business owners. How do you celebrate your own wins, both professionally and in your personal life? Because we should.
Yeah. Marta, do you want to take this one?
I'm a big celebrator. I mean, if the grass is cut the right way, I'm like, let's go out and celebrate. In terms of how I celebrate by myself is, I'll schedule a massage or an acupuncture session, or I'll take myself to my favorite coffee shop and just sit and enjoy a cup of coffee. And that's both professionally and personally. I just believe in celebrating every single little win, every facet of life. And we're going to be celebrating this book launch as a big party on October 24th. I don't know if I'm spilling the beans, Cori, but I love to celebrate that as well. As like, I just launched a book. Let's have a party. I just finished a licensure examination. Let's have a party. I'm good with throwing a party at any time, as long as I can just show up and have fun.
Why not? Why not? Cori, now, being the choreographer of the stories, the curator of the stories in Powerful Synergy, were there any challenges in bringing the book to life? And how did you overcome it?
So far, I think this one has been without any hiccups. Everybody showed up. Everybody submitted their chapters on time. I know. I was like, okay. The cover came out beautifully. I was going to be
the problem child, Cori. I really thought I was going to be the problem child with the baby that came a month early.
There's just always, actually, yeah, Marta had to have a baby a month early. There we go. That was our only hiccup.
Yeah, I just completely changed my chapter, and and I'm like, what are we doing? Where are we? What day is it?
We're having a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. But still, like, everything fell into place.
Oh my goodness. Congratulations, ladies. That is so wonderful. And we're having a baby book.
Yes.
Wow. All round congratulations. What do you hope will be the lasting impact of powerful synergy on readers who are struggling to balance motherhood with their entrepreneurial ambitions? And I know people always talk about perfect balance. I don't think it really exists, but what's your advice?
I could take it, Corey, if you'd like me to.
Yeah.
If the technology continues to cooperate as it has been. The the advice that I'd like to give is that you can have it all if you don't do it all. And I hope that the lasting impact that this book has is a reminder that it is absolutely possible for you to have it all. If you want to be a present mom and you want to have success, you can absolutely have it, and also stay open of what that could look like, and also be okay with the failures and the failing moments, because those are lessons that are going to expand your growth. And just stay in it, and because if it is on your heart, that is something that God has placed there, and therefore it's meant to be for you. Just keep going, but don't be too hard on yourself.
Yeah. And I think
I
that this
like that. I think that's very balanced advice.
I think that this book is an excellent way to say to let go of perfection and let go of control, because you cannot expect to do every single thing. And I think that's a huge lesson for business owners. You know, you cannot expect to, tweak every little thing. You can't be the micromanager of your house and your kids and your business and your own life. You will drive yourself crazy. So you do have to kind of be open, as Marta said, open to what this looks like and how you're going to make it work, whether that's, bringing in a babysitter or hiring a VA or, having a whole team, or just saying, what, this is a part-time thing. And, the rest of the time I'm with my kids. And everybody in this book had a different strategy for how they were going to make things work.
I like that. Very nicely well-rounded in the overall messaging. Now, in your opinion, what is the most important takeaway for women who feel like they're losing their sense of self amidst the chaos of running a business and raising a family at the same time?
I think that it's important to pause. Definitely recognize when you are feeling that way and do whatever it is you need to get back into that balance. Whether it's saying, hey, I need to take a break, I need a vacation, I need a VA, I need my husband to take over this evening because I'm going to go do these other things, and he will be fine. I think that's an important message too. Marta, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I'd love to speak on that. I loved what you said about the husband, and I think it's important to know as a female business owner that how husbands and wives have different love languages. So we sometimes want to be like, you need to help me this way, and it has to look this way. But what I've come to learn is that we have totally different love languages. And so here's what I can hand you that I know I can count on, and these are your strengths, and I'm going to delegate accordingly. And it goes with the same with your kids, and it goes with the same with your team, is recognizing people's strengths and empowering them and empowering yourself by utilizing their strengths, and not being too harsh or judgmental about them not being exactly like you and your strengths. And also for us, a big thing is to disconnect on Sundays as much as possible. If I don't keep my Sunday completely open to sleep in till whenever, to take a walk at my leisure whenever I want, then I become a gremlin. If I find myself that I have not unplugged from social media that day, or if I will take on some work that I'll just do it this one Sunday. I'm a total gremlin. I'm no use to my family because I just snap for the rest of the week. And I think it's so important for us to recharge on that Sunday. And let's figure out what the rest of the week is going to look like. Let's rest from the week before that.
I totally agree with you. One does need a day to unplug and recharge your batteries and unwind. Because if you burn out, you can't serve yourself and you can't serve your family. Marta, I'm going to stay with you for a minute.
Okay.
In your chapter Maverick Moments, you share how you've embraced being a maverick in both motherhood and in business. Can you talk a little bit about a moment that you feel defined your path?
I think when you're trying to make your business and your parenting look like everybody else, it is just not going to work. And probably what allows me to step into maverick mode is that I have 7 kids. So it's easy for me to say, yeah, we're just not going to sign up for activities for the heck of it, guys. Like, we need to really think about this. Um, and so I think that is the defining moment, is the more kids you have, the more intentional and the more of discernment that you really have around what you're going to allow into your schedule and what you're going to allow into your house. I think I became a minimalist, and in fact, I published that book with Cori, The Minimalist Method, um, because it is the way that I can thrive as a mom of 7. And I always joke, I'm like, they're not minimalists. So I just declutter my brain by shutting their doors and not looking at their stuff.
Oh my goodness, I really like that. And I like the way that you found a way of managing and finding balance in your life. Now, you talk about how hard situations can lead to transformation. Can you talk about one challenge that you faced as a mother and entrepreneur that later became a source of strength?
Yeah. Um, I think that learning through just the different coaching programs and the EFT and hypnotherapy, and learning about God and his grace and just letting things be that are, and going through that entrepreneurial journey has allowed me to, I don't want to say handle, but to walk alongside one of my children who's recently been diagnosed with a special need, um, and to welcome it as answers rather than maybe a previous self would have been overly worried about it or get upset about it. But going through that entrepreneurial journey and having all that healing associated to it allows you as a mother to be faced with like real life problems, right? Because when you face stuff with your kids, that's the stuff that gets to you, right? And then everything with your business, you're like, that's peanuts compared to this. And it does allow you to go through the healing as an entrepreneur, to face things as a mother, and go, it's okay. I'm just going to walk alongside her. God's got her back. All I have to do is move my hands and move my feet accordingly, and everything's going to be okay.
Wow, you've led right into my next question for you,
Oh, good.
um, which is how has your children influenced your leadership style?
That's exactly it. I mean, I think it has, and I'll say, empowered me to understand that I cannot possibly be the person that it all falls on. And so getting to know them and realizing what, like I said before, what their strengths are, then I just, from the sake of their privacy, I could say, this child, she hates doing the dishes. It's a sensory issue for her. And rather than me forcing her and making her do the dishes because everybody has to do the dishes, then I can find something else for her to do. And she's, maybe she was able to then, let's say, sweep or mop because it doesn't require to touch anything that provides any sensory issues. So it's the same with team members. I've had team members that were phenomenal, intelligent, but I'd assign a task and they would just fall on their face. And then I had to reassess and go, all right, what am I noticing here? This person is really good at paying attention and following directions when they're written. But when I speak, it doesn't register. They can say all day long and all meeting long, I got this, I got you. But then when the meeting would be over, they wouldn't have it. And so it teaches you to communicate a certain way for those who are around you supporting you, that they can do it eloquently and they can do it successfully.
I think that's pretty powerful, how you've been able to apply that. Now, in Powerful Synergy, there is also a message about breaking down societal stigmas. How has this played into your role, um, both at work and in helping families ease their financial burdens?
Yeah, I think that I actually shared a big one yesterday on social media. I think it was yesterday, that really ruffled some feathers. And for me, it is that I think we put on our shoulders the financial burden of having a family. And I hear all the time, you have 7 kids, like your college fund must be outrageous, or you have 7 kids, that's a lot. But I don't personally believe that that has to fall on the shoulders of the parents. I believe that my kids are empowered and powerful creators, and no matter what their journey is in life, they are able to provide for themselves in ways that when I can't, if I choose not to, they can step up and provide for themselves. And I think that there is this stigma that I see it all over the place when you have a family. Oh, you're going to need this much money, and people are like, "What? I'm not having kids. That's crazy. That's non unsustainable." And you're right. In many cases, in many families, it's not sustainable. And so I think we need to lift that burden from our shoulders. And just to give an example, my oldest son, he has a job. If he would like to start driving, he has to pay for his insurance. He has to help pay for his car. If he would like some things, if he'd like to go out, he has to pay for them. And I think we're getting away from that. I think we're putting a lot of importance in loading our kids up with activities that we think will be good for them in the long run, and then they aren't learning the skills of a job and financially juggling their finances.
I think you've done exceptionally well, and kudos to your son or you've empowered him to do what he can do now, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Now, you've also got some experience in marketing, um, for holistic wellness. How has that influenced the way that you approach entrepreneurship, especially in the context of juggling family and business life at the same time?
Having that niche allows me to love my job. I used to take any marketing client that would pay for marketing. Our services are, I would say, more on the luxury end, and they're not something that everybody can work into their budget. And so when somebody would come along and they were able to work it into their budget, I'd take them on. And now having that focus allows me to love my job every day. I'm excited about it. I don't, wince. Maybe I have some PTSD from some past clients. And so I still find myself sometimes wincing if I get a certain email that might have a certain subject line, and then go, oh yeah, no, that's right. I have awesome clients. They're not going to come at me with some complaints in a disrespectful way. So I think that's how it affects it.
Now, you've also been recognized as Businesswoman Leader of the Year. How has your role as a mom played into achieving that level of success?
I think that with each child, it has given us the encouragement to move forward and dream bigger and show up for ourselves in our business because of our kids. I think that every single time that we've had a child, we've had some amazing things happen with our businesses, and I think they're my lucky charms.
Well done, well done, well done, Mom. Now, your chapter Maverick Moments also explores what it means to break the mold in business. How would you say do you you cultivate that Maverick spirit in your everyday life with your family?
Well, that title is also a play on words because his name is Maverick and it details his birth and how I was expecting it to look a certain way because it's always looked a certain way. And then all of a sudden I was thrown all these curveballs and I just needed to deal. And so that's what that chapter explores.
And when it comes to business and motherhood, um, both those roles require constant adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
Could you maybe tell us about a recent situation where you needed to pivot and how you handled it?
I think I'll go back to just because it recently happened a few weeks ago where I had this I have this child that has grown up in front of me and things would come up and I would just think, she's just different than everybody else and it's fine because I will accept that and I love that about her. But it just got to the point where life was just too much and um she just wasn't living her best life and it wasn't a good life and it broke my heart every day to see my child just absolutely crumble. And so being able to have that diagnosis for her of autism, uh, it actually provided us relief and like, okay, we're going to then shift and pivot because we've been trying to handle the situation without this diagnosis and now so many things make sense and praise God, thank you for these answers rather than going, oh my gosh, no, my child has this. It's like, no, this is your superpower and let's leverage the things that you're amazing at because you're such an awesome person and stop trying to fit you into this box because you're just not ever going to fit into this box and that is fine. So I definitely think entrepreneurship played a part in that.
Wow, thanks for that very, very practical share there. Really appreciate that you shared that. Now, Cori and Marta, both of powerful synergy is basically full of stories about women finding strength in their struggles. What advice would you give to women that's watching the show now or watching it later, that are currently in the middle of their own challenges? What would you like to say to them? Either one of you can take that.
Okay. Do you want to take it, Cori?
Yeah, I think that awareness is a huge part of getting through our challenges. And every single time I've been through some big thing, I've had to step back and say, all right, what is this showing me? And what do I need to adapt, adjust, rearrange, whatever it is? Every single time I've gone through a big challenge, there has been some sort of like, oh, okay, now we get forward momentum. And I think that, first of all, reframing our challenges to be like, okay, this is a speed bump. What happens when you go over a speed bump? You get airborne. Every time we do that, if we have to think of it that way, be like, all right, this is garbage, but I know that it's going to give me a little bit of a lift. And, being able to figure out what that lift is going to lead us into is imperative. And I know every time I go through a challenge, I'm like, oh my God, I hate this. I'm so mad. I'm so frustrated and all that kind of stuff. And I do have to pause and kind of recalibrate and be like, all right, what can I get from this?
Now, I know that Marta spoke a little bit about it earlier, but Cori, I'd like to get your take on it as well. And Marta, feel free to jump in if you've got anything else to add. How has being a mother changed your sense of leadership and what it means to guide other women or teams or people?
Yeah, I was very much a perfectionist and a control freak before I had kids. And my kids have definitely shown me that the things aren't always going to go as planned. In fact, 90% of the time, they're not going to go the way I planned it. I have two kids who are very alpha, strong personality, and they will run over me if I let them. So it's kind of shown me that I need to play to my strengths, which is a lot of creativity and calm, and be able to have the overall picture. So there are times with both my team and my kids where I have to say, all right, this is what our overarching goal is. We all have this common goal. Let's all work toward this common goal. And that's especially helpful when you're in, some sort of frustrating moment, an argument or whatever. But that's been a major thing that I've learned from my kids, is that I have to adapt, and I don't always have to be in control. I can delegate, and I can accept that someone else might be right and might have a better idea. And I can say, you know what, let's go that way. But I'm always steering the ship.
I love that. I mean, I'll say even this past Sunday, I was just at my wit's end, and I called everybody into our bedroom and I said, family meeting. Okay. And to Cori's point, we all want a clean house, right? We all complain that the house hasn't been clean. Our cleaning company hasn't been here the past couple weeks. We want to have a nice, relaxing Sunday. What can we do? And we just talked about all the things and how we could work together and who could do what. And that way we could just move on with our Sunday. And I didn't have to feel like there are 9 of us contributing to this chaos today. 9 of us can contribute to the solution. So what can we do? Maybe not the baby, we'll give him a pass, but
Cori, you as the project leader of Powerful Synergy, and Marta as one of the contributors, can you give me your perspective on how you approached the vulnerability that is required to share your personal journeys?
Yeah, Marta, do you want to go first?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Sure. How did you approach the vulnerability that is required to share your personal journey?
I really don't know. I guess I just have to attribute that to my kids. When I grew up, I had the nickname of the Rock, not because I was tough, but because they would say I had the personality of a rock. I would just sit there quietly, just paralyzed with fear of what if I spoke, if I said anything, what would be the reaction from other people? And I just would sit there with what people perceived as, as the proverbial resting bee face, just not saying a word. And only the people closest to me got to know the real Marta. But then for whatever reason, once I had kids, I guess I was just too tired or too busy to care. And I just started to show myself. And so I think it's just to them, like it allows us to put in the forefront what's important. And so you don't worry so much about what other people are going to think, even though I'll be honest, I still worry every day, and I think about it all the time, but you show up anyways, right?
Absolutely. I think, that is the key point, is that we show up regardless, Cori, I'm going to end, the conversation with you. What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind, not just as an entrepreneur, but also as a mom?
Oh, I want my kids to be brave. I want them to be able to do whatever it is that's on their hearts. And that's something that I always emphasize in this house. Like, this is a safe place to be creative. This is a safe place to talk and explore. My kids will ask me questions that I'm like, why are you asking me that question? Oh my God. But I will answer it. But we live in a very like an artist's house. If my kids are like, you know what, I really want to get a canvas and make this, I'm like, let's go buy a canvas. Let's do this. Like, there should be nothing holding you back from pursuing the things that are in your heart. And I think that's the big legacy I want to leave behind.
Fantastic. Marta, you have the floor as a final comment. What legacy do you want to leave behind?
I love what you said, Cori. I think for me, it's just debunking the myth. I'm so tired of hearing that it's like, if you're a mom, you can't do it. You can't have it. And it's just so not true. You can have it, and your kids can have it. And it can all look in the most magical way that you could never even possibly imagine until you take the step forward and start moving towards the path that's on your heart.
Ladies, thank you so much. This was absolutely wonderful. To our amazing audience, thank you for joining us on Books with Bridgetti. It's been an absolute pleasure having you all with us. So to the audience, if you enjoyed today's conversation, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that you don't miss out on any future interviews with amazing authors like Cori and Marta. So until next time, keep reading, stay inspired, and remember, every great story begins with a dream. Thanks, ladies. Chat to you soon.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on Books with Bridgetti. Join us next time for industry experts and award-winning authors.
I think this might be, I've been on over 24 different podcasts and radio shows in the last couple of months. And this has to be one of the most sophisticated, what the kids like to keep called bomb.com shows and presentations that I've ever been on. It's fantastic. Thank you for having me here.
Available wherever great books are sold near you.